Why are there people who, although they have the opportunity to go out, spend time with others, and fill their days with company, still prefer to stay at home? This question sounds simple, but in fact, it is a deep mystery of the human psyche. Society often labels such a decision as shyness, laziness, or even a sign of isolation. Yet behind it lies something else, something that Carl Jung understood with remarkable clarity. Loneliness is not always the rejection of the world, but the quiet voice of the soul asking us to turn inward. Think about it for a moment. Each time you choose to remain in the silence of your room rather than drown in noise, you are not withdrawing, you are listening. You are answering a subtle call that does not crave parties or crowded conversations. It craves truth. It craves awakening. Jung once wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." And in those hidden hours at home, when the noise of the world falls away, that awakening begins. Maybe you've already noticed how exhausting the constant chatter of the outside can be. Superficial interactions, endless small talk, the loud energy of crowded places. It drains you rather than nourishes you. And yet, when you are finally alone, there is a sudden exhale, a sense of release, as if you've returned to a place where your spirit can breathe again. That feeling is not random. It is not weakness. It is the psyche's message that your soul requires silence to be heard. Many dismiss solitude as emptiness, but in truth, choosing to stay at home is a subtle act of courage. It is a confrontation, not with others, but with yourself. While most run toward noise to avoid their inner storms, you step into the quiet and face them directly. And this is where authenticity begins to bloom. Because although the outside world can offer amusement, only in solitude do you encounter the one person you can never escape, you. Ask yourself, is this preference for solitude really a retreat from life? Or could it be the very opposite, a journey back to your essence? When you close the door and sink into silence, you are not cutting ties with the world. You are opening a hidden door within. What seems like stillness is, in fact, movement inward, and that requires more bravery than most are willing to summon. Jung believed that within every human being lies a vast inner universe, a cosmos filled with symbols, dreams, and buried emotions. But this universe does not reveal itself in the noise of the marketplace. It opens only in solitude. Only when you dare to stay home, to sit quietly with your own being, do you begin the descent into those hidden corridors. And though this journey is often uncomfortable, sometimes even frightening, it is the birthplace of self-awareness. Silence has a way of stripping away illusions. At first it confronts you with what you'd rather avoid, repressed fears, unspoken longings, the shadow sides of yourself. That is why so many people cling desperately to noise, to constant activity, to the endless cycle of entertainment. They fear the mirror that solitude inevitably holds up. But those who dare to look discover something extraordinary, that behind the darkness lies freedom. Think of solitude as a mirror, not only of who you are, but who you could become. Imagine your inner self as a house with many locked rooms. Most people live only in the brightest, most familiar space, the one that faces the outside world. But when you embrace solitude, you begin to unlock those doors one by one. In some, you find forgotten memories. In others, long-buried dreams. And in the deepest chambers, you may even encounter your truest essence. This is not escapism, it is wholeness. Jung captured it beautifully. Your vision will become clear only when you look into your own heart. And that is the gift of solitude. It transforms silence into presence, not the presence of others, but of your own soul, which longs to be seen, heard, and acknowledged. Have you ever noticed how sometimes the quiet of your own home restores you in a way no crowded celebration ever could? That moment when the laughter fades, when the conversations end, and you are left drained, longing for stillness? It is because your inner being hungers for balance. Just as the body cannot survive without rest, the soul cannot thrive without silence. Solitude is that rest, the sacred counterweight to the chaos of society. When you are alone, you are free from roles, expectations, and demands. You are no longer performing for anyone. You simply exist. And in that pure existence, something shifts. Jung taught that the unconscious speaks in symbols and feelings so delicate they can only be heard when the outer world grows quiet. In other words, silence is not emptiness. It is a language. It is the forgotten tongue of the soul. So what some call boredom, Jung would call the beginning of dialogue, the start of a conversation with yourself. A conversation that may terrify you at first, but ultimately reveals who you really are. This is why solitude is not passivity, but the most active journey you can take. It is a return to the root of your being, a claiming of your right to live authentically. And here lies the paradox. Solitude does not weaken you. It strengthens you. Each time you enter silence, you are training your spirit. You are building resilience, clarity, and a deeper connection to life itself. Far from cutting you off from others, solitude makes it possible to engage with them more fully, because you are no longer lost in their noise. You meet them not out of emptiness, but out of wholeness. So far, we have explored the emotional and spiritual dimensions of solitude. But what is truly fascinating is that science itself also confirms what Jung intuited long ago. Neuroscience has revealed that when you withdraw from the external world and turn inward, your brain begins to operate differently. Entire regions light up, shifting into modes of reflection and self-awareness. One of these regions is called the medial prefrontal cortex, the very network that becomes active when you think about yourself, process your feelings, and even imagine the inner lives of others. Think about what that means. Every time you choose solitude, you are not just nourishing your soul. You are exercising the very part of your brain that governs empathy and self-understanding. Solitude, then, is not selfishness. It is training. A quiet, invisible discipline that sharpens your capacity to connect, not only with yourself, but with the world around you. Jung sensed this long before science confirmed it. He knew that the one who learns to look inward gains clarity that no external distraction can provide. Picture your mind like the surface of a lake. When you are constantly surrounded by noise and activity, the water is turbulent. You can see nothing beneath. But when silence arrives, the waters grow still, and suddenly you glimpse the depths, the shimmering shapes of memory, hidden fears, and unspoken desires. Neuroscientists call it neural activity. You experience it as clarity, the relief of finally seeing what was always there, but blurred by the chaos of daily life. And here lies another truth. Solitude builds resilience. When you step into silence, your brain quietly trains itself to withstand stress, to process emotions with greater wisdom, to find patterns where before there was only confusion. Far from wasting time, you are building inner strength. Each quiet hour becomes a workout for your emotional core, a strengthening of the hidden muscles that carry you through life's storms. So the next time someone looks at you with confusion, wondering why you'd rather stay home than join the crowd, remember this. While they chase noise, your brain and soul are aligning, constructing new pathways of awareness. You are not withdrawing. You are expanding. Carl Jung described this ancient truth through the image of the hermit. Across cultures and traditions, the hermit is not a coward who runs from life, but a seeker who dares to step away from distraction in order to uncover deeper wisdom. In the tarot, the hermit carries a lamp. Its light is not for others at first. It is to illuminate his own path, to guide him inward through the shadows. Jung saw in this a powerful archetype of the human spirit, the one who chooses silence not as an end, but as a passage toward clarity. History itself bears witness to this. Think of Moses retreating to the mountain, Buddha beneath the fig tree, Christ in the desert. Every one of them passed through solitude before their teachings could reach the world. Solitude was not their weakness. It was the womb of transformation, the place where the eternal voice within could finally be heard. And yet, Jung made a crucial distinction. Not all solitude is the same. Some people withdraw out of fear, out of rejection, out of despair. That kind of solitude becomes a prison. It shrinks the spirit, suffocates vitality, and darkens the heart. But the solitude chosen consciously, the solitude that says, I need to return to myself, to listen, to breathe, to see who I really am. That solitude is liberation. One is the locked cell of avoidance. The other is the open temple of awareness. The external act may look the same. You are at home, alone, declining an invitation. But the inner reality is worlds apart. The fearful solitude isolates. The conscious solitude heals. The first hides you from life. The second prepares you to meet it more fully. This is why Jung urged us to ask the hard question. Am I fleeing the world because I cannot endure it, or am I choosing silence to discover myself more deeply? The answer is everything. Because when solitude is chosen with awareness, it stops being a wall and becomes a bridge. A bridge that leads not only to your own depths, but also to more genuine, unshakable connections with others. Most people believe solitude separates us, but in truth, it binds us. For only the one who has learned to listen inward can truly listen outward. Only the one who has tasted peace in their own company can bring peace into a relationship. Conscious solitude, then, is not rejection of life, but training for it. It is not absence, but presence, the most essential presence of all, your own. Jung called this process individuation, the journey of becoming who you truly are. And this journey always begins in silence, when you dare to sit alone, to hear your own thoughts, to face your own shadows. You are walking the ancient path of self-discovery. It is not always easy. At times, it feels like crossing a suspension bridge high above a river, with chaos and noise on one side and the unknown vastness of your inner world on the other. But with each step, the path steadies. Solitude becomes the bridge that carries you safely between those worlds, allowing you to move freely between outer life and inner truth without losing yourself in either. When society sees someone who prefers solitude, it is quick to judge, antisocial, strange, unadapted. But Jung reminds us that the truth lies not in appearances, but in intention. The same act, declining an invitation, closing your door, seeking silence, can either be an escape from fear or a declaration of strength. The difference is invisible from the outside. Only you can know which one it is. And perhaps that is the true beauty of solitude. It belongs only to you. It cannot be measured, labeled, or fully explained to others. It is your secret temple, your inner sanctuary where no one else can trespass. When you step into it with awareness, you step into the place where transformation becomes possible. There comes a moment in solitude when something shifts. At first, silence feels heavy, almost unbearable. Your mind races. Your thoughts echo too loudly, and you wonder if perhaps you've made a mistake in choosing stillness over noise. But if you remain, if you allow the silence to wrap around you like a cloak, something extraordinary begins to happen. The noise within quiets, and beneath it, a deeper voice emerges. It is the voice you have been running from, and yet the one you've been longing to hear all along, your own. This is why solitude is not emptiness, but fullness. When you sit alone in your room and feel a peace that no party or gathering could ever give you, that is not coincidence. It is your psyche reminding you that stillness is not the absence of life, but the gateway to it. Carl Jung often spoke of the unconscious communicating through symbols, dreams, and subtle feelings. These whispers cannot be heard in chaos. They reveal themselves only in quiet moments when you finally stop trying to be everything for everyone and simply allow yourself to be. And yet many people are terrified of this. They fill every spare moment with distraction, scrolling, talking, running from one obligation to the next, because the idea of being alone with themselves feels unbearable. But avoidance does not heal. Avoidance buries. What you refuse to face grows heavier in the shadows until one day it bursts through in ways you cannot control. Solitude, chosen consciously, prevents this. It is the safe space where your inner wounds can breathe, where your suppressed feelings are acknowledged, where healing begins. Consider how the body restores itself in sleep. Without that nightly retreat, the body collapses. The soul is no different. It needs its own rest, its own stillness, its own sanctuary. When you choose solitude, you are not cutting yourself off from life. You are giving your soul the sleep it craves, the time it needs to repair, to balance, to return you to wholeness. Without it, you may be awake, but not truly alive. Jung also pointed out that solitude is where the encounter with the shadow takes place. The shadow is everything within us we try to suppress, our fears, our insecurities, the truths we deny. Most people run from this confrontation, seeking constant company so they never have to hear the echo of their own hidden self. But Jung warned that true growth demands facing this shadow, and solitude is the only mirror capable of showing it clearly. Think of it like this. Someone who runs from solitude is like a prisoner trapped in a dark cell, terrified of what might be revealed if the light is switched on. But someone who embraces solitude is like a seeker entering a vast temple, knowing the darkness hides treasures waiting to be uncovered. The difference is intention. Fearful solitude shrinks you. Conscious solitude expands you. Society, however, rarely sees this distinction. It calls the one who prefers solitude antisocial, detached, even broken. But society cannot see what happens behind the closed door of silence. It cannot see the transformation, the awakening, the courage it takes to look inward when the world demands you look outward. It cannot see that what looks like withdrawal is actually preparation, the gathering of strength before returning to life with clearer eyes and a steadier heart. This is why Jung described solitude as a bridge rather than a wall. It connects the outer world of roles, relationships, and obligations with the inner world of dreams, fears, and truths. It allows you to cross between the two without losing yourself in either. Without this bridge, people either drown in external demands or become trapped in internal chaos. With it, life regains balance. Imagine walking across that bridge. On one side lies the noise of society, expectations, demands, endless voices telling you who to be. On the other side lies your inner sanctuary, the place where your essence waits quietly for your attention. Without the bridge of solitude, you would be stranded, forced to choose one world over the other. But with it, you can move between both, living fully in the world without ever abandoning yourself. And here is the secret few realize. The more you connect with yourself in solitude, the deeper your capacity to connect with others becomes. Because you no longer meet them from a place of emptiness, needing them to fill the silence within you. You meet them from wholeness, from peace. You can truly listen, truly love, because you no longer fear being alone. Jung called this process individuation, the path of becoming your authentic self. It is not about rejecting others, but about grounding yourself so deeply in your own essence that when you do meet others, you bring something real, something unshakable. Solitude, then, is not isolation. It is preparation for authentic connection. Think of the people you've admired most in life. Were they the ones who endlessly sought company, terrified of silence? Or were they the ones who could stand alone? Who carried a calm presence that seemed unbreakable? True strength is not found in how many people surround you, but in how steady you remain when you stand alone. And so, staying at home, choosing quiet, listening to your own voice, it is not a small thing. It is one of the most radical acts in a world addicted to noise. It is not laziness, not avoidance, not weakness. It is courage. It is saying to the world, I refuse to lose myself in your chaos. I choose to meet myself first, so that when I meet you, it will be real. When you choose solitude, you are not abandoning the world. You are preparing to re-enter it with greater clarity. Jung understood that solitude is not rejection, but integration. It is the pause that allows the soul to breathe, the silence that clears the fog so you can see your own path. Without it, you risk losing yourself in the noise of others' expectations, drifting further and further from your true essence. With it, you return to yourself, and from there, every step outward becomes more grounded, more authentic. Think of the archetype of the hermit once more. Across time, in myths, stories, and spiritual traditions, the hermit does not vanish into the wilderness forever. He retreats just long enough to hear the inner truth, and then returns, carrying a light that can guide others. His solitude is not escape, but preparation, not weakness, but strength. And in the same way, each time you honor your own solitude, you are not locking yourself away. You are tending to the lamp within, so that when you do step back into the world, you carry a presence that cannot be shaken. But we must be clear, not all solitude is sacred. Jung made a vital distinction between solitude, chosen in awareness, and solitude, chosen in fear. When we withdraw out of fear of rejection, fear of judgment, fear of life itself, solitude becomes a prison. The walls close in, and instead of healing, it deepens our wounds. Yet when solitude is chosen as an act of courage, it becomes the most powerful liberation. In that choice, you are saying, I am not fleeing the world. I am returning to myself so that I can meet the world with truth. The difference may seem subtle, but it changes everything. Imagine two people who both decline an invitation and stay home alone. From the outside, they look the same. But inside, one is shrinking, hiding, hoping the world will forget them. The other is expanding, listening, strengthening, building a bridge to meet life more authentically. That invisible difference is what Jung called the decisive point. Is your solitude escape, or is it awakening? And if it is awakening, then solitude is not absence at all. It is presence. The most vital presence you will ever know, your own. To sit alone and feel at peace with yourself is to stand on sacred ground. Because when you discover that you can enjoy your own company, that you can bear the silence without fear, that you can listen to your soul without running, you are free. Free from needing constant approval. Free from the fear of being left behind. Free from the chains of external noise. This freedom changes how you meet others. When you know how to sit with yourself, you are no longer desperate to be filled by anyone else. You can love without clinging, listen without fear, and connect without losing yourself. Solitude does not weaken your relationships. It purifies them. It ensures that when you give from fullness, not from emptiness. Jung called this process individuation, and he believed it was the highest task of every human life, to become who you truly are. And solitude is its crucible. Without silence, you cannot hear your own voice. Without retreat, you cannot discover the treasures hidden in your inner world. Without solitude, individuation is impossible. And so when someone mocks you for preferring to stay home, for choosing silence over noise, remember this truth. You are not withdrawing. You are aligning. You are answering the deepest call of your being, a call that every sage, mystic, and seeker has heard across time. You are not antisocial. You are not broken. You are on the ancient path of awakening. Your home, your room, your silence, these are not prisons. They are temples. Within their walls, your psyche expands, your soul gathers strength, and your deepest truths come to light. Every quiet evening you spend alone is not wasted. It is sacred. It is another step across the bridge between your outer mask and your inner self. It is another moment in which your lamp is being lit. And here lies the final paradox. Solitude does not separate you from life. It prepares you for it. The one who never learns to listen to themselves can never truly listen to another. The one who never finds peace in their own presence can never offer it in a relationship. Solitude is not withdrawal, but training for empathy, for love, for authenticity. So embrace your solitude. Do not see it as absence, but as presence, the presence of your own soul, the presence of truth, the presence of healing. Each time you choose silence over noise, you are not rejecting life. You are entering it more deeply. For only the one who looks inward can awaken. And when you do awaken, when you emerge from solitude, carrying the light you discovered there, you are no longer the same. You are steadier, stronger, clearer. The world has not changed, but you have. And that makes all the difference. So let them call you strange. Let them misunderstand. Oh, you know the truth. Your silence is not emptiness. It is transformation. Your solitude is not weakness. It is strength. And your home is not a prison. It is the temple where your soul is reborn.